I texted you after I watched this and I said, wow, I couldn't think of a better movie for this podcast to watch because it was such good content.
Yeah, I'm into this and I'm like, gosh, I really hope something doesn't come along to piss me off. Well, James, we get introduced to fucking Gwildor. He's got this high-pitched voice.
Yeah, he talks like this. I was going to share.
Dude, from the second I saw him, I said to myself, I fucking hate this guy.
She me. She the key.
This is what I call the FBI open up moment.
FBI, open up!
And dude, Beastman starts fucking up Kevin.
You want from me? Somebody tell me what the f*** going on around here.
Lubic, he still has this shotgun in hand.
Lubic's like walking him down. He's walking him down Lubic.
Nobody takes pot shots at Lubic.
And he runs outside.
Police! Somebody move!
They all fire at the car. The car blows up. I was like, Lubic's fucking dead, dude.
Gwildor fires off a round. Don't give that guy a gun.
The last person who should have a gun.
You, Kevin.
And I was like, oh, that's wildly convenient.
Things aren't right in your world, dude.
Hey, what's poppin', Eternians? Are you ready to get all oiled up and put on your chest belts and your space speedos for this one? We have the power. We are coming in to Earth via the cosmic key because we are the Just Play It Boys. I am Captain Pop. I am the menace to the microwave. I'm Colonel, Mr. Popping Off in your kitchen. Do you hear that? The more I go, the more I pop off, baby. It's Just Play It. I'm James, and I'm here with my best friend in the world. People around here know him as the Cosmic Corn Dog himself. He is all greasy, all oily, showing off those deep fried abs. It is insane. He has a sword for a stick this week, and he has the power. His name is Nick Crusty Trusty Justice. Welcome in, pal.
Well, thank you. Again, as always, what an intro. Happy to be here with you. Super excited for our movie this week because you're right. We do have the power. We have the power to be delicious and to provide you with a whole damn good lot of content. James, it's going to be good journey for the two of us. Get your bucket, get your dog, corn dog that is, get your ketchup, your mustard, your mayo. I don't know what you're into. Get it all, sit down, and get ready for us to talk about this week's movie, James, which is
Masters of the Universe from 1987, which is a first watch for me.
It's a first watch for me as well, James, and I think that the timing of this seems almost cosmic, if you might, because there is a modern version of this movie I just saw the previews for a month or so ago when I saw Project Hail Mary. So this is getting a full remake. The creator of this was also in the news recently. It really felt like it came together. You texted me this. This feels like a Just Play It kind of movie. And everything here is just lining up for us to have a blast today. So I cannot wait for this one. I really can't.
Nick, the stars were aligning on purpose because, yes, I did know that the remake was coming out this year. So I figured, hey, perfect time to get into the OG shit show. Because, Nick, this movie, we haven't really done the Flopbuster series in a minute. But after checking the numbers on this one across our 5 media outlets, this is a flop because it falls below 40% favorable reviews. So we kind of... we made that a big focus in year one. We said we're going to watch flops and box office bombs. And then we kind of just evolved into, let's just get everything done. Let's just watch what we want to watch. Let's watch what's topical, maybe something that's in theaters. But this is a bona fide flop. So as is tradition, by the end of this, we'll have to see if this deserves to be a flop based on our ratings, which is our popcorn points, which is going to transition us perfectly into our pre-pop points. So, Nick, you are reviewing this movie first, so you're going to have to show us flashcard style where you're putting this movie off rip. I will count you down. 3, 2, 1. Show us your pre-pop score. Okay, Nick, Masters of the Universe, you are giving a 3.45. Is that what I'm seeing? There's a lot of glare on that 3. 3.45. Yeah, I saw it.
You saw it right.
And Nick, I simply need from you 3 words to sum up your feelings after watching this movie.
What I wanted.
Hell yeah, baby. That's a weird sentiment with a 3.45 score, but you know what? Sometimes it just do be like that.
It do be like that, James. And now it's your turn. I need to see what you gave it on your pre-pops. James, I'm playing the cosmic key, and I'm getting it ready, and then it's gonna pop, and I need to see your pre-pop scores. I'm a song maker. Ready? 3, 2, 1. James, Masters of the Universe. You gave him this a 5.7. James, what are your 3 words off the rip, honest reaction for this movie?
Oily, rubbery 80s.
Yes. Yes.
So oily. So
I do want to say, I don't think you picked up on the 3.45.
3.45?
It is halfway to the coveted 6.9. And so let's see if we can get there, the review, because I'm sitting here, I'm like, this is just what I wanted. We're so close. Let's see what maybe went wrong. Let's see if it can maybe get there by the end of it.
And I just want to add that I had a 5.7 because it was just 1 tick above Kroll, which is what this movie reminded me so much of. I'm putting it just above Kroll. That's its absolute ceiling, I think, for me. We'll see where this lands after we talk about it.
And James, to get there, we got to give the stats of this movie. We got to address the elephant in the room here. And James, that's the director. So James, tell me who this is directed by. Let's just get this out of the way. So this is directed by Gary Goddard, who unfortunately he's a person who we've mentioned on the show before. I don't want to call him a friend of the show, but it is tradition to call people friends of the show if they have shown up in a movie or done something in a movie that we have watched before. Do we have a new term for him?
Pedophile.
Of the show.
Sex offender, predator, diddler.
Piece of shit.
So, allegedly. So Gary Goddard was in the background in one of the scenes of X-Men, who was directed by another, allegedly, big-time PDF file. That scene also included a certified pedophile. Big pedophile rings going on. Gary Goddard, this is only real movie directing credit. I thought he had done a lot more stuff, but he kind of does a lot of like acting work, like coaching and theater stuff, and also
which is creepier,
like rides, like rides videos. Like, you know, when you get on like Jurassic Park the ride, there's like a directed short or something. Like, so he would do some of those stuff. I'll just read this snippet from the LA Times titled Hollywood producer Gary Goddard accused of sexual misconduct by 8 former child actors, from December 20th, 2017 by Gus Garcia Roberts. Since actor Anthony Edwards, not the basketball player, wrote in an online essay last month that Goddard sexually abused him as a pubescent actor in Santa Barbara in the 70s. 7 others from the theater group told the Los Angeles Times that their former mentor molested or attempted to molest them as boys. They described Goddard's advances as ranging from straying hands on thighs during lulls in a production or fondling in a darkened Disneyland ride, to repeated incidents of sexual abuse during a troupe's overnight stays in a statewide tour. In addition, Edwards and another former theater student said in interviews that a classmate who has since died, Scott Durnavich, told them that he was sexually assaulted by Goddard as a boy. And this article continues on with detailing disturbing encounters made by Goddard's victims. If you want to hear all those accusations, go ahead and read that article. For now, I'm going to spare the listeners the disgusting off-screen lifestyle details of Mr. Goddard.
And if you want to hear, it's a terrible segue, but if you want to hear us talk about Bryan Singer, Goddard, that whole relationship, go ahead. We have an X-Men video earlier this year where we discussed that. There's also a nice YouTube short. While you're over there on YouTube, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. We're over there. James does fantastic work. If you're just a listener, that's fine. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the places you get your podcasts. And you can always come talk to us on Twitter, now X, at Just Play It Pod. But yeah, we've discussed this before. We have zero patience for this. We really don't feel like spending the time really detailing it again. Like you said, go do your own research. But fuck you, Gary Goddard. I'll say it for the both of us.
Yeah, fuck you, dog. Not a good start for this movie. Because, reading that article, you're just like, ugh. Like, he's sneaking in the beds, like, on these overnight theater group trips and, like touch it and like being very forceful and gross and creepy.
We used to just trust people as a society. Like, and then guys like Gary Goddard made us fucking
awful. So that's who's in the director's chair. Unfortunately, Nick, who is this movie written by?
James, this movie is written by David Odell, Gary Goddard, and original story or concept by Stephen Tolkien.
Yes, on the writing credits, I saw that David had a lot of Muppet ties, a lot of ties to Jim Henson and Frank Oz. He did a lot of work with the Muppets movies and projects. Gary Goddard and Stephen Tolkien have uncredited rewrites, and I was watching a documentary and behind the scenes makings of this movie, and they had to get very creative with the budget that they were working with, because I'm going to talk about Canon Films, who is the producers of this movie, but they had to do a lot of reworking and redirecting. And we actually have another writing credit for Roger Sweet, who wasn't a writer, but he was the toy designer for He-Man. He has a writing credit on this movie. I believe he has a writing credit for the upcoming live action movie. And Nick, weird timing, as of this recording, yesterday, Roger Sweet sadly passed away.
Yeah, absolutely. He'll be on our in memoriam at the end of the year here. Like you said, crazy timing. Obviously, someone you don't even think about. A guy who worked with Mattel. He created this whole universe, all the toys that all these kids in the 70s had grown up with, playing with. And yeah, he just recently passed away. Lived a nice long life too.
Yeah, I think he passed away suffering from dementia, is what I read.
Yes, then I heard that as well.
So thanks for making a sick toy and spawning an entire franchise based off this toy line. Nick, in front of the camera, who is this movie starring?
James, our movie is starring the large Russian Dolph Lundgren.
He's Swedish.
I know. I say it because of Rocky.
I was gonna say
Rocky 4.
I've only seen Rocky.
That's he's also in the Expendables. Okay.
Yeah, he's Gunner.
We also have a friend of the show, Frank Langella.
This was hilarious.
And a very young Courtney Cox.
Nick, are you not going to call Courtney Cox a friend of the show?
Wait, what am I missing?
I got him on his toes.
Wait.
He's screaming.
Wait.
He's freaking out. He's getting chased. I'm chasing him with a knife. He doesn't know where I'm coming from.
Oh!
I'm going to pop out.
Kidding
Gil
me?
Weathers, dude, from Scream.
Dude, I didn't even think about it. When I saw Courtney Cox, I just thought to myself, no, we haven't seen Courtney Cox. That's my bad.
That's what you did with Lawrence Fishburne last time with Boys in the Hood. Forgot he was the voice of Norrin Rad in Silver Surfer.
Very disappointed in myself. But James, Frank Langella, we'll get more into him.
This was, I think it's Langella. I did hear that on the, yeah, Frank Langella. This was a hilarious friend of the show. I thought, looking at his IMDb profile picture, I thought he looks familiar, but Nick, how do we know Frank Langella?
Yeah, and we never see his face in the movie, his like real human face. We'll get into that later. But this is Dog Brown from Cutthroat Island.
Welcome back, Dog Brown, the bad guy from Cutthroat Island, starring Gina Davis and Matthew Modine.
Hell yeah.
Bad dog.
There's a lot of, there's some good friends of the show. And Nick, our estimated budget for this movie is $22 million, and it grossed $17.3 million. So I believe on the year, so far out of all the movies we've seen, this is our first sub 100% movie.
Yeah, not quite a bomb, right? Because this doesn't quite fit our
series bomb. Not a bomb on our standards.
We have a 40%
so
loss
we've been
bomb criteria.
Like so generous with the making your money back, because we thought, oh, you hit 100%, you're good. Apparently not. You know, you can have a $150 million movie and then only get $300 million, and apparently it's a loss. So I'm like, I don't know how it works.
I don't know how you studios operate now.
But this is bad.
James, I do got to call out. I thought this was really funny.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I like looking at the domestic box office and then the overseas box office. I didn't look up what country it was, but it was funny to see 17.3 million coming in domestic, and I think there was like $1,200 coming in from overseas. And I just
I gotta see
hilarious.
What country did that.
I know. Let's go see some box office mojo.
All right, Masters of the Universe box office mojo. Where did that other money come from? Oh, we got some re-releases. That's why. Australia in 2021 gave it $456.
New Zealand gave it $313.
Yep, I'm seeing 313 on the original release for New Zealand, and 2025 re-release Australia again, tacking on $1,066. Way to go.
So $1,700. You could always count on Australia and New Zealand just being like, yeah, I'm into it, whatever. You throwing it in theaters, I'll go check it out.
Way to go, Oceania.
It's at least 500 people.
The true fans. And if you're a true fan, you might want to know how this movie got made. And Nick, I'm just going to do a little testing the waters name segment for this, because I feel like I bring it up every episode of the backstory of the production, but I might call this How the Colonel Popped.
Ooh.
Masters of the Universe. Nick, before we get into anything, I got to talk about Canon Films. In my research of how did Masters of the Universe get made, it's not so much how, it's more of the why. So this is a product of Canon Films. And Canon Films was led by the Go-Go Boys, aka Menahem Golan, an Israeli filmmaker, and his younger cousin, Yorin Globus, who was more of the businessman of the operation. And these guys were like the king of whatever Israel's version of Hollywood would be. They were the filmmakers. So it was intended to capitalize on the popularity of the Mattel toy line, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. But at the same time, coincidentally, that toy line started losing revenue, and it was pretty desperate times for both Mattel and for Canon Films. Canon Films was at the end of its crazy run in America under these guys. So basically, it was a love child between two panicked corporate entities, which is always a good idea.
Yeah.
Great start. So the Mattel toy line, that spawned from Mattel because they didn't want to have licensed products like Star Wars toys. They wanted their own toys so that they could make their own lore and their own movies. And Canon Films, actually, was a small American company that started out making porn. Then they raised enough money to make a movie called Joe, starring Peter Boyle, which turned out to be a moderate success for the company in 1970. So in 1979, our Go-Go Boys come to Hollywood and they purchased Canon Films. So in the beginning, they made low-budget horror movies with a lot of nudity and sexploitation flicks. The company, over the leadership of the Go-Go Boys, expanded their horizons almost too much and made anything and everything from musicals to Chuck Norris action films. Their entire catalog, Nick, could keep us in business.
I saw some movies on there that I would really like to add.
They were fierce, they were bold, they were ambitious, they were passionate about the film business. So I watched this documentary called Electric Boogaloo, The Wild Untold Story of Canon Films from 2014. And Robert Forster, an actor, stated they would create a poster of a movie they intended to make, sell it to foreign buyers, and then take that money and make the picture and deliver it the following season. So they were a film producing machine. A music supervisor in the documentary, Richard Kraft, said he was in charge of writing press releases for non-existent movies with no cast and frequently with no scripts. So these guys were very effective salesmen at the Cannes Film Festival. They were the biggest wheelers and dealers of 1980s showbiz, baby.
So they were basically running a Hollywood Ponzi scheme. Like they were just selling things that weren't real, getting money to flow in, funding like other project. Oh my gosh, this is awesome. Keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, when I watched this documentary, I got the notion that these guys were those guys that you hear about in Hollywood. Like the stereotypical producers, like, hey, showbiz, let's make a movie. Let's make a deal. Let's do this. Oh, except they're Israeli. I don't know how they talk. So those guys were all about like, let's keep gambling. Let's keep throwing out movies. Let's keep throw spaghetti at the wall, or whatever the saying is. In 1982, these guys produced a sequel to the successful 1974 film Death Wish. Death Wish 2 saw Charles Bronson back as Paul Kersey 8 years after the original. So it's weird. They're picking up this movie as a sequel that was made by a different production company, but they're like, hey, let's go make that second movie that we had nothing to do with.
Huh.
Death Wish was kind of like the Taken or the John Wick of the 70s. And the sequel was directed by a guy named Michael Winner, but I might call him Michael Loser because there was a lot of rape scenes in this movie. And Michael Winner would direct multiple Golden Globus films, and he would include a lot of nudity and sexual violence. Critics would deem the inclusion of these risque scenes as unnecessary, and Michael Winter's actors and crew would accuse him of poor working conditions. Alex Winter, friend of the show from The Lost Boys, had this to say about Michael Winter and Cannon Films. He was in a way the perfect Cannon director. Cannon was this weird bubble. Everybody in it had this wink and a nod. We do love the movies, but we want to make money and we don't care about your work conditions or the quality of the product. It was kind of a weird carnival. Movies are an unreal environment at the best of times, and Cannon movies were like that times 100. At the very end of the documentary, there was a title card that said, Menahem Golan and Joran Globus were asked to be part of this documentary in an interview. They declined, and instead they released their own documentary on Cannon Films 3 months prior to this one. And that's not the only time they did something like that, because they had 2 different projects that had to do with dancing, actually, that they were trying to beat their competitors to. And it just seemed like this weird race to the box office and a lot of corners being cut. And it just seems like their attitude was like, we got to be the first ones out there and we have to be cutting edge and we have to set the trend. It was just weird.
They would have loved Street Racer.
Hey, Johnny!
Big similar vibes for that production company and Hallmark movies for how these guys just pump out projects. People in this documentary say, they were reckless, they were cheapskates, they were carnival salesmen, and a lot of people have endearing things to say about them. It's not all bad. Like, they're very passionate, they're very ambitious, and they were go-getters. But a lot of times people are like, they're kind of just like, have too big of brains and egos, and they want to move on to the next best thing and not really focus on the current project. So the fact that this documentary comes out and then they make their own documentary, I'm thinking they probably were gassing themselves up like, yeah, we made 80 movies a year and we were the best and we were making deals and this and that. But Cannon made a reputation for themselves of being low budget, low brow action movies with insane plot points and nudity. And they would pump out around 20, 40, almost as much as 50 films per year, while other major studios were doing like 6. So this is what I was talking about. This reminds me of the Hallmark Christmas movies and the production company that did Sharknado and a Street Racer, which is a movie we watched. The Asylum. They just pump out movies on a low budget. So you're thinking, how can they keep doing this? It seems like they're just losing money. There was this guy named Michael Milken who was called the Junk Bond King. He went from financing bankrupt companies to financing small growing companies. He raised $300 million for Cannon Films, and they were doing way too much, way too quickly. They were buying and selling as fast as they could to keep up with costs. And in 1986, they were not able to operate profitably. Their movies were doing so poorly at the box office that they had a large amount of selling and administrative expenses, which resulted in a large annual interest payment from all of the bonds and debts they took on to fund Cannon. So Nick, this is what killed me. They owed $5 million to the bank. And of course they said, why do we only owe them $5 million? I want to owe them $100 million. Basically, they're like, let's double down,
work,
baby.
Man, that's light work.
So what do they do? Owing $5 million to the bank? Nick, they offer $12 million to Sylvester Stallone to do the Over the Top movie.
They did Over the Top?
They did Over the Top.
I missed that. Fuck yeah.
They paid Sylvester Stallone $12 million, and that was the lowest number I heard. In the documentary, they're like, I think it was 13. I think it was 15. I think it was 20. But the budget is $25 million. So you have half your budget going to Stallone. And he's going to do the arm wrestling movie Over the Top. It grossed $16 million. So that's a loss. That's not good for them.
No.
$12 million was the most Sylvester Stallone had ever been paid to do a movie to that point. And this really had an impact on Hollywood's landscape as far as actors' paychecks go.
For Over the Top.
They went over the top on the budget.
Jeez.
They said, let's go get our man, and it's going to pay off. Trust. Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, enters the chat. They say, hey, let's renew some franchises. On June 25th, 1985, Cannon bought the rights to produce future films based on the comic book character Superman from the Sal Kynes family. They had the rights before. And struck a distribution assignment with Warner Brothers Pictures, owners of the Superman property, for a 1987 release. Christopher Reeve didn't want to return to the role, but they enticed him, asking, what would it take? What would you want the movie to be about? And Reeves said, how about Superman collects all of Earth's nuclear weapons to achieve world peace? And then they also got an ex-Chip and Dale dancer to play the villain, Nuclear Man. The money pit continues. Superman was supposed to have a $30 million budget, and then it dropped to $17 million. The budget cuts made the movie look cheap on the visual effects side. It's a flop. Canon Films are those guys at the casino at 4 a.m. saying, hit me. I swear, I know I'll make my money back. If we keep throwing stuff out there, this is going to be the one. Let's see if Masters of the Universe will be the one. So this is where we hit Masters of the Universe. We have a desperate Canon Films. We have a desperate Mattel toy company. The He-Man toy line had lost $400 million for Mattel, apparently, that year. So you get two very desperate entities hinging on this movie's success. And per the production designer of the movie, William Stout, the deal was that Mattel would put up half the money and then Canon would put up half the money. Canon told Mattel, you put up the first half of the money.
This is like a couple in trouble and they're like, let's have a baby. Like this will just solve it all.
It's like that flex tape meme, $5 million debt, $100 million more. Superman
Swift,
4 over the top. Yeah. Just taping it on the water. So they burned through the Mattel half first, and then Mattel's like, okay, it's your turn. And Canon said, no, you guys put up the rest if you want to see this film. This is what William Stout told me, the production designer. So I'm taking it for truth. Because their toy line was relying on this movie coming out. So Mattel was like, oh, fuck. Like, yeah, so Canon was being dicks about it. Mattel had their own restrictions on the creative side. So they had parameters for He-Man. Like, he couldn't kill. He couldn't injure humans. So then the creatives had to make up these like robot type knights for He-Man to fight. And it was a mess.
It's just insane, man. It's insane. Like, this is, like you said, Mattel is clearly a company in trouble. They're seeing other properties get thrown into movies, and they're saying, this will save us. This will save us. And instead of going somehow to a studio that was going to have a reputable product, they went ahead to a place like Canon Films. Like, how much can you do it for? And they're like, I don't know, 20 million. Let's do it. We'll get some guys. We always get our guys. We'll overpay them, but we always get our guys. And
like, if we keep putting out stuff, something's going to hit.
Luckily, Mattel has rebounded with like the Barbie movie a few years ago. And so, but man, what a terrible lesson to learn with Canon Films and Mattel. Holy smokes.
Superman was a big franchise, but Nick, what do these guys have to do with Spider-Man? Because they did acquire the film rights to Spider-Man, I believe in 1985. There was a 5-year option period, and if they didn't put anything out by 1990, then the rights would revert back to Marvel. And then Marvel, I think in 99, sold the rights to Sony, and then they had an ever so often year deal to put out a Spider-Man movie. And thank God that did not go through. I mean, actually, who cares? I mean, there's bad super movies. There's weird Captain
I would love to see whatever happened with this Spider-Man.
I think Canon Films did a Captain America movie.
They did.
Actually.
They did. Yeah, they absolutely did.
But what did they not? And this was something in the documentary. They said they don't know how American movies work, and they're not tapped in to American culture and American values, and basically that's just like American plot structures for movies. They're just like they're recreating the American movies that they saw as kids in Israel, and they're inspired by those movies, but they're doing their own take on it, and it doesn't resonate with every single audience member, but they did not have their finger on the pulse of Spider-Man because
no. So we've detailed the Marvel sell-off of production rights before on this podcast with places like Blade. Last year, obviously, the unreleased Fantastic Four movie where Marvel came in and was like, no, you can't do this. And like you said, we've also talked on this exact podcast about having people in the room who understand characters, that are from comic books, understand the source material, respect it, and all of that. Well, I'll tell you what, James, our friends here at Canon did not know about Spider-Man when they bought the rights. They just knew Marvel, successful comic book Spider-Man, great. And their first draft of a script was about a man who transforms into a literal spider. They sent it to Marvel, and Marvel was like, No. We're shut it down. Shut it down. John Taffered it and came in and was like, absolutely not. And they did rewrites, but it was very clear to Marvel that they did not understand who like Peter Parker and Spider-Man were.
Now there is a man spider in the comic book lines, but are you saying that it turned into an actual spider that like is spider size?
All the research I did, no, like a human sized spider. This is not Man Spider from like the comics. Man Spider,
yeah, there is Man Spider.
They thought Peter Parker's Spider-Man, his power was transforming into an arachnid,
like a giant spider.
Yeah. I mean, yes, like human sized spider,
not like a humanoid spider,
8-legged freaks kind of deal. No, apparently they did get partway through production on this. There were, set designs and props that were used for this. Spoiler alert, there were also props for Masters of the Universe Part 2. They had to scrap all of that, but they were so cheap, like you were saying, and so strapped for cash, they reused a lot of that and a lot of the sets that were missing from this movie we're reviewing today that all went into a 1989 film starring Jean-Claude Van Damme called Cyborg. And I vote to put that onto the list, 1989 Cyborg, because they use a lot of the same assets from the Masters of the Universe and then the scrapped Spider-Man that, like you said, was eventually given to Sony because Marvel basically said you're not allowed to do this. The same way they did with Fantastic Four. They're like, you can't do this.
That would have been before Fantastic Four, and that's when 1994, and that would have been the lesson learned, because basically when they sold it to Roger Corman to do the 94 Fantastic Four, Stan Lee came out and said, hey, we're not doing that ever again. We're making our own movies.
we're done.
That was bad.
Done. We're so, and this movie gives me a lot of the 1994 Roger Corman.
It does.
It gives me a lot of the same vibes.
Cyborg starring Jean-Claude Van Damme. That was all, like you're saying, recycled ideas and literal pieces of sets and stuff from a potential sequel to this movie. It was going to be Masters of the Universe : Cyborg. They didn't change the name.
And they took some of the Spider-Man stuff too. They're like, we built it. Fuck it. We're using it.
They're so thrifty. They're like, well, we just did all this hard work. Why would we throw this in the garbage? Let's just make it a new movie that has nothing to do with Masters of the Universe. So that's Canon Films. It folded in the 90s. And they have a great catalog of Just Play It movies. I'm not going to lie.
Might have to have a whole season of Canon Films. Just throwing it out there.
Honestly, might have to. But that's how we got here. That's why Masters of the Universe from 1987 is a thing. And I think it's now time to jump into this movie. Nick, why don't you go ahead and read this log line for us?
Let's do it, James. From IMDb, the heroic warrior He-Man battles against the evil Lord Skeletor and his armies of darkness for control of Castle Grayskull.
And we're going to see if we have the power in Plot Talk.
Plot Talk.
All right, James, well, we're going to start here with your favorite way movies start out. And we have
instructions in narrator form. We're coming in on Eternia. It's the center of the universe. It's the border of light and dark. There's Castle Grayskull. The sorceress keeps the balance. And whoever controls Castle Grayskull will be Master of the Universe.
They say it early on. And Skeletor has stormed Castle Grayskull. He has imprisoned the sorceress, and he is draining her power to become ruler of the universe. It sounds to us like we're jumping into the middle. This isn't like the introduction of He-Man and his first encounter with Skeletor. This is sort of in the middle of it, right? So all the kids at this point have had the toys. They've seen the animated show of He-Man and Skeletor fighting it out. So this isn't an origin story. So this is almost like it's another entry into the animated universe of the He-Man movies or TV show.
And I gotta say, Skeletor looks awful. One of my 3 words was rubbery. His face is all rubbery. He's got a rubbery looking mask on, and it looks very phony and cheesy. And this is where I got those 1994 Roger Corman Fantastic Four vibes. You know, because he's supposed to be a skeleton. He's supposed to be a skull, but like, how do you do that in 1987 without visual effects? Did you know Jared Leto is Skeletor in the new movie?
Nah, damn it.
But from the trailer, it looked like Skeletor from the new movie is more accurate to the toys and the cartoon. It's a literal skeleton that's all visual effects and it looks really good. But this one was just, we're going to slap a Halloween mask on you, paint it, bond it to your face, have your eyes be super recessed back there and your mouth super recessed back there. And I thought it looks so rubbery and it's supposed to be bone and it looks awful. But Frank Langella is going crazy in this movie. He's my favorite part of this movie.
He's the best part.
He was so good.
Hands down.
Sorceress, my lovely prisoner. My prisoner at last.
He agreed to do this movie out of love of the game because his son was a big fan of He-Man and Skeletor. So he said, yeah, I'll do this movie. Make my son happy. This did remind me of Joseph Culp's performance as Dr. Doom in 1994's Fantastic Four. There's a lot of same vibes, a lot of same like dated cheesy sets, but they kind of worked. He really reminded me of like a Dr. Doom. And I thought Frank Langella was the highlight of this movie.
Yeah, people who worked on the movie said he treated this like it was like Shakespeare wrote it, right? Like he had huge respect for, the art of filmmaking and acting, and he was almost method acting, and he sat in that chair for hours a day to get his Skeletor costume on. He took it very seriously, and like you said, he's the best part of this movie. He acts it really well, to be honest with you, and I'm going to come out there and say it. The costuming, obviously the rubber face of Skeletor is just awful. But the set deck, you could see where some of the money's going, because my first impression of the actual like props and the set and the costuming, I thought this feels like high-ish budget for the 80s. Like they did a pretty good job with it all. Now we know it all fell apart and they couldn't film all of the locations and sets that they wanted to, and that just cut a lot of corners. But first impressions I thought were okay, like not half bad canon.
And this is one of the highest budgets I think Canon Films was working with. What I heard was, and this is where that uncredited rewrites from Gary Goddard is going to come in. What I heard was that most of the script, the original draft, was taking place on Earth alone. It was only on Earth. Like they had no scenes in Eternia, and that was to cut costs. So they did pivot to Earth to cut costs because it would be very hard to make this whole fantasy sci-fi land all 100% take place in the movie. So Gary Goddard actually was the one who advocated for more Eternia scenes. And I'm happy that happened, because otherwise it would just be like, what? We're just on planet Earth the entire time.
He-Man and Earth.
Yeah, because it's like Thor, We start out on Asgard, and then most of the time he spends his on-screen time in this small New Mexico town. But yeah, originally there was no scenes in Eternia, and he had to fight for more mythical locations. Again, it just reminded me of Cruel. We were in Fantasyland, I think 100%.
Yes.
The whole time. Like we were all in just the land of Krull.
The land of Krull, the swamps, the crystal spider,
the Emerald Castle.
Well, James, let's get to the crux of this. We get an introduction to He-Man, and he is fighting off the armies of Skeletor out in the lands. He's the leader of the resistance. He's the resistance to Skeletor. He is the thorn in Skeletor's side. And they make a very good point to say, hey, we have this guy, Dolph Lundgren, right? Big, strong. And so we're getting a lot of close-ups of like his muscles, and they're sweaty and oily, and he's muscular, and he's grunting with a sword. Yeah. A lot of those sort of quick cuts of like, there's some quick cuts where it's just literally like cuts to his pecs, like his oily pecs, and him like grunting.
Yeah,
like
there's a lot of oily ab shots. I swear I saw a cut where someone like ripped off a piece of tarp or clothing, loincloth, and it just exposed abs or something like that.
Absolutely.
Later in the movie.
Yeah, we had a lot of that. Every time we have He-Man,
it's like a parody.
They didn't let Dolph Lundgren really have lines. A lot of the stuff was ADR afterwards or dubbed over, because he was not a fluent speaker of English at this time. Very interesting. Dolph Lundgren, I've known this about him a long time. He's like a chemical engineer. He's a wicked smart guy who ended up getting into acting, mostly due to his size. And so he's taken that path in life, but very smart, very accomplished, who just ended up being this gigantic blonde Aryan guy who people in the 80s were like, you're my guy.
You're He-Man.
Exactly. You're He-Man.
More like him, man. Because he's him.
He's Himothy. So he is going to be fighting off. I don't even know what these soldiers. I don't know if we have a name for these soldiers.
Well, I didn't know they were robots until the after the fact research, because
They
there
look
was
like
that
black
no blood
stormtroopers.
Darth Vader knights,
Yes.
basically.
So he rips through them. We're going to meet one of our guys, Man at Arms, and Teela. Now, Teela, James, friend of the show.
Welcome back, Virginia Slim from Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man, baby.
Absolutely. This is Chelsea Field. I did recognize her off the bat. I was like, yeah, I know you.
I didn't recognize her, but I looked at her. I was like, I think we've seen you in a movie before. And then when I looked it up, I thought, oh, I didn't even think about that. But you look familiar.
I didn't peg her for the movie, but I thought, I know you. And I looked at IMDb.
You're like,
I'm
it
like,
looks familiar.
that's it.
Teela, by the way, is going to be my smoke show nom of the movie. She was hot. So Teela and Man at Arms are fighting these Darth Vader knights with He-Man. And I look at this scene, this setting, and I'm like, we're at Vasquez Rocks. This is right off Highway 14, right before Tough Actin' Tenactin, right there in Agua Dulce, where Nope took place. A lot of science fiction movies have filmed here, a lot of Star Treks, a lot of these movies. And I was thinking, this is giving me big Turbo Man vibes. Like Turbo Man and Jingle All the Way. Like, we all knew it was a cheesy movie that they were parodying in that movie, but I'm pretty sure like Masters of the Universe and these Star Trek movies were the main inspiration for the Turbo Man movie, in the movie that's set in the movie Jingle All the Way, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, another big foreign buff guy. Feels like Kroll meets Turbo Man.
Kroll meets Turbo Man. Love that for you. Now, James, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, okay, I can get into this. I've gotten into Cruel. We in a weird way loved Cruel.
We've crueled out.
We've crueled hard.
Yeah.
And so I think I'm into this, and I'm like, gosh, I really hope something doesn't come along to piss me off. Well, James, we get introduced to fucking Gwildor.
Help! Help! Somebody! Help!
I forget what his race is even called. It's a fucked up little 3 foot tall thing called Gwildor.
I hate Gwildor. Off rip.
This is the hands down worst part of the movie.
He's a bitch.
Terrible. Now I'm guessing he is part of the He-Man lore. He's part of
No.
No, he's not.
He's not.
He was added for this movie.
More like substituted, Nick. This was the budget version of Orko, who was from the animated series. So Gwildor, our ugly ass leprechaun scientist and inventor, was the budget replacement for Orko, who was a floating trollin sidekick to He-Man in the cartoon. But his physical properties were deemed too expensive, so audiences were cursed with the gift of Gwildor. Basically, Orko is like, if you look him up right now, he's like a floating guy with like just his eye, kind of like like the Jawas in Star Wars.
Yeah.
You know, you only see their eyes underneath that hood.
And we got this.
That Canon Films money, we can't afford Orko, but we can afford fucking Gwildor. Yeah, he's awful. Like off rip, I was like,
I can't.
I'm gonna fucking, I'm gonna not be able to stand this fucking guy.
No, he's got this high pitched voice.
Yeah, he talks like this! Help! Help! Get me out of this!
Gwildor is played by Billy Barty, who was born in 1924 and started acting as a baby in 1927. And his last credit was in 2001. Bro's been acting for a long time.
Jeez.
Gwildor, our annoying little fuck, has invented something called the Cosmic Key.
I call it the Cosmic Key.
Which can open a doorway to anywhere. And he was tricked by Evil-Lyn, who is an actual character from the He-Man lore.
It's like Evil-Lyn, but it's Evil-Lyn. It's like, ugh.
I was waiting for Good-Lyn to show up the entire time, but she is not a character. We'll see how she'll trick one of our other characters later on in the movie. We get this expository scene about how Gwildor is an inventor, a locksmith, made this cosmic key. Kind of looks like a thing with tuning forks and makes these sick-ass synth sounds. It's very 80s.
Yes. Yes.
So he created that key that allowed Skeletor to get into Castle Grayskull. So that's why they thought, how did they sneak up on us? What the heck? We were so prepared. Nick, plot device, literally, he has another one. He has a prototype cosmic key.
So I was so confused about this because he's like, I built this prototype, and they're like, oh, what does it do? This. I had another one. It's like you have two. So it's in production. Is it a prototype? Like, what's the?
Gwildor's an issue, dude. He is a fucking problem in this movie. He's a problem for my mental. He's a problem for the convenience.
My race of people are super trusting, so I trusted Evil-Lyn. Sorry. It's my fault that Skeletor took over Castle Grayskull.
And also, I want you to picture a leprechaun that looks super acidic. It looks like it had a stroke. It's got a big Viking beard. His hair is uncharacteristically red, and it goes out about a foot beyond his head. And
He talks like this. I got the cosmic key.
Yeah, and the way you open portals is just by playing like the chorus to like a synth song.
very 80s.
My goodness. And this was also apparently a ploy to sell toys because Mattel thought to themselves, oh, we could sell something like this and it'll be a fun toy. Every kid's going to want one. So we want to have this cosmic key idea. It's basically like a big cylindrical bop it, pretty much, that a bunch of kids are going to grab and play with. And so this is going to be our introduction to the cosmic key. We're going to sell all these units, and this is going to be a great time. Well, joke's on you, Mattel. Fuck off. So our heroes, though, they do get ambushed. And James, when our army from Skeletor's army blasts open the door, I could swear these were Star Wars noises.
They could have been. I feel like they just borrowed from so many different popular movies and just, I mean, it literally reminded us of Stormtroopers.
Yeah.
These Black Knight robot things.
10,000%. Like if I closed my eyes and you just played that scene, I would have thought to myself, that's Star Wars. Like I would have put my life savings on it being Star Wars.
Throw down your weapons and pledge yourselves to me.
It's not her you want, it's me. It's always been between us.
A little bit of dialogue between He-Man and Skeletor. This will come back later, so I'll mention it now, where He-Man says, it's, leave everybody alone. It's between us. It's always been between us. We're setting up this whole good versus evil. We're mortal enemies, He-Man and Skeletor. It doesn't feel that way at this point in the game, but that's fine.
And another plot device is that this takes place in Castle Grayskull, and the sorceress who kept the balance of the universe, I guess, she's stuck in this force field. Again, reminds me of 1994's Fantastic Four with those funny little just light beam. The set just put lights over these guys. It's like, it's a force field. So she's stuck in this force field prison, and her powers strengthen Skeletor's. And Skeletor says this, when the moon hits its zenith, the great eye will open and all the powers of Grayskull will be bestowed upon Skeletor, and then the sorceress will die. A lot of convenience.
I assume this is explained at some point during the animated show on TV and the toys.
I'm not thinking that it's connected at all. I think they went in their own direction.
I'm hoping.
I'm not banking on any lore or canon accuracy.
That's fair. Well, apparently, so Gwildor's whole thing was to open a portal into the middle of the force field holding the sorceress so they could break her out, which is literally like a 3x3 box. It's a 3-foot diameter.
Sounds like you're gonna like spawn inside of her and kill her.
Yeah, this feels very dangerous, but basically they say,
I'm sorry, you trust Gwildor to do that? Or as I'm gonna call him, Dildor.
Bitch. Good old little Dildor. Well,
stupid
they
Dildor.
do tell Dildor, just get us anywhere. Like just open up a portal to anywhere, get us out of there.
Rift us out of here.
And Gwildor opens a portal. They jump in. I'm not sure who it was. It probably was He-Man at this point. Like on his way out, throws a sick grapple shot out of the portal to grab the cosmic key.
I think it was Dildor because he uses that grapple later, and he's like an inventor. But it was a nice grapple.
That's a sick grapple shot.
They opened the rift, and I was trying to think of like best yeets in this movie, and I was like, yeah, I can't really find anyone's, but they do yeet into that vortex pretty well. Like Teela, fucking like a gymnast, dives head first.
Yes.
Man at Arms is next, and then He-Man swoops up Dildor, and Superman's into the portal, and then a good 5 seconds pass, and then a grapple just comes from out of the portal and just snatches that cosmic key straight from those robots' hands.
It reminds me of the Minuteman yeet a little bit.
Yes.
Like the Minuteman yeet where it got a little bit of
the Disney Channel original movie, Minutemen. Turns out the place that Gwildor took us was Earth, because we have this beast coming from the background. They say there's a life form. What if it's friendly? And it's a cow. And I thought, oh, maybe we're on a planet and there's also cows there. I don't know. But no, we are actually on planet Earth.
Yeah.
And I thought at this point, I thought it was going to like this more than Cruel. This is going to be fun now. Now that we're in Earth, we're going to do the whole I'm from outer space and like I'm not part of your thing. It's going to be goofy. And we're going to school dances and there's a lot of 80s music. I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to like this a lot. When they rift into Earth, Gwildor is like headfirst in the mud. And then He-Man pulls him out. And then Man-at-Arms, he does this like 3 times in the movie. He does this forced laugh to help the audience understand that Gwildor is our comic relief.
Yeah.
He-Man pulls Gwildor out of the mud. And Teela naturally is like, and then like an awkward 1.5 seconds passes and Man-at-Arms goes it is intensely forced.
Oh, it's bad.
And he does that multiple times. It's when he pulls up in a car later. He's like, I found a native land boat.
Native transportation. A primitive land boat.
And then Man-at-Arms like, Gwildor.
Enter.
Gwildor.
And then when he shows up later in the music shop, he's like, look, native clothes. And Man-at-Arms goes,
Native clothing all over the place.
okay. We get that he's the fucking Timu Orko, okay?
We get it.
Fuck.
They start talking in like sci-fi terms or like, we're going to split up. Everyone take their sector. Like, what are the sectors here? What are we talking about?
I got something to say about the sectors.
And they're like, tell me about the sectors.
Oh, I mean, just like when we get to this next scene where we're at Robbie's Ribs and Chicken.
Yep.
Which is where Courtney Cox works. And so Man-at-Arms is there, Teela's there, and Gwildor's there. So I was like, okay, we said we're going to split up into sectors. I'm assuming it's 4 sectors. And we have 3 people, not only in the same sector, but at the same restaurant.
Yeah.
Like, you guys didn't split up at all. You don't know anything about the sectors.
Man-at-Arms looks and goes, I thought you were supposed to be in your sector. I'm like, how big are these sectors? Like, what? Nobody's defined these sectors.
Before we have the space people in the ribs section, we are introduced to Julie, which is Courtney Cox. Nick, I was a little bit confused. I see you have a note about this. I didn't know where we were. I thought we spawned into Texas or something. And then as the movie goes on, you're like, wait, that's Whittier, California.
Yeah.
And next to Los Angeles.
So my original notes were, we're in the country, right? We're at Robbie's Ribs and Chicken.
Ribs and Chicken.
But we're in Southern California, apparently. But Julie, her parents are super dead. She's trying to move, this one made me laugh, from LA to New Jersey because...
Best thing for me to do right now is to get 3,000 miles away from Kevin, my house, this town and everything, and just start out fresh.
No one's going from LA to New Jersey to find themselves. That is ridiculous. So it was very funny. I was confused about it as well. And she's apparently a high school senior who's going to move before her prom. So it's like she's not graduating at her high school.
That's right. Yeah. That was confusing to me. So many questions. So many logistical questions with Julie. You work at Robbie's Ribs and Chicken. You haven't graduated high school. You're going to move mid-senior year. You're leaving your boy. And so I thought she was breaking up with Kevin because he was going to be a douche. But I was like, Kevin's actually awesome.
Yeah.
And he's a very good boyfriend. So I was like, oh, she's just kind of throwing it all away just because she's got those dead-ass parents.
Yeah, her parents died. And apparently no one's taken her in at this point. She's just like an orphaned 17-year-old who lives by herself. Dude, I don't know.
I don't know, man. What I do know is that those guys, our space people, did not even look at their personal locators, which they called in the movie. They said, let's sync up our personal locators. Beep, beep.
We better synchronize our personal locators. And
Good journey.
Good journey.
good journey.
And then they go, good journey. And then they split up in different sectors, but they don't because they're all at this fucking rib shack. So Gwildor, this fucking guy, is in the bushes and he is going to use that grapple. He's going to grapple a thing of ribs. And before he does this disgusting like lip smack. He goes,
hated it.
And like,
I hated it.
and again, like his face is so prosthetic-y. It reminds me of Mac and Me and how fucking ugly those aliens were.
Dude, it's like Mac and
And
Me
it
where
was
like
just
the prosthetics are like one eye is more open than the other.
That's why I said it looked like he had a stroke. I thought he was stroking.
It's so fucking freaky, dude. I hate it.
He grapples the bucket of ribs, and then we cut to him chugging a cup of like the most liquidy looking barbecue sauce. It's just getting all in his gross ass fake beard, and he's like, he's just like biting in the bones. And then Man at Arms comes up. He's like, Gwildor, and then Gwildor is like,
Ow! I was gonna share. I swear. I was going to share. I was going to share.
now that you're here, I'll share. I was just like, this little bitch was not gonna share shit. He was fucking grappling ribs in the bush. Little bitch. Fucking
He's a piece of shit.
I hate
Well,
Gwildor.
they're
At
eating
this
the ribs.
moment, I was like, I'm gonna be judging every micro movement that fucking Dildor does because it's pissing me to fuck off.
No more benefit of the doubt on this guy.
No, he lost it when he was sneaking ribs in the bush by himself without the crew.
I hate this guy, dude. From the second I saw him, I said to myself, I fucking hate this guy. There's no redemption arc that could make me like Gwildor.
There's no convincing me that he was going to share those ribs.
No,
he only shared them because he got caught.
He's a piece of shit. Okay,
he is.
We have Gwildor, Man at Arms, and Teela eating ribs in the bushes, and Teela's like,
I wonder why they put the food on these little white sticks.
and Man at Arms says, "Oh, it's the rib bone," and she's like,
You mean this used to be an animal?
"These savages," and I'm like, "A, what do you eat meat off of on your planet?" And B, are you telling me He-Man's not on a pure protein diet, eating fucking animals like in the desert? Like, what are we talking about?
You think he's eating lentils?
Like, you're from this like barbarian fantasy culture, and the idea of eating ribs, like it almost felt like a social commentary. Like, yeah, Canon Films was like, we're going to make a quick appeal to the vegetarians out there.
I think that's probably what it was.
I hated that. Look at fucking He-Man, dude. You're telling me this guy doesn't rip meat off the bone? This dude's like 400 pounds of pure muscle. Fuck you.
Now, I don't know the lore, but I know he's supposed to be, is it Prince Adam? And then the sword like turns him into He-Man? Are those just magic muscles?
That's exactly what happens, especially in the modern animated iterations of He-Man.
That maybe doesn't eat the protein, Nick. Well, Teela can't finish the rib bone. Man at Arms is eating it. Fuck Gwildor. And we're going to move to the weirdest last date ever with Julie and her boyfriend Kevin at a graveyard. This made me laugh, Nick, because Julie is looking at her parents' tombstones and she says, it was my fault they died. And then Kevin says, it was a plane crash. Those things just happen. I was like, no, they don't.
It's my fault they died.
Julie, come on. It was a plane crash. Those things just happen.
Plane crashes just happen. And then the fucked up thing was, she's getting on a plane tonight.
Yeah.
So he just said, oh, those things happen. Good luck with your flight later.
They're both wrong. A, Kevin, those things don't just happen. B, Julie, like a plane crash isn't your fault unless you actually crashed the plane, unless you physically
Who caused it?
crashed the plane, like, or forgot to put gas in the plane. You know, like there's very specific, or you told your dad, yeah, I tightened that bolt, Dad. Like you could take it out for a spin.
I guess the dad was a pilot. So he was flying his own plane. It was one of those things where she's like, oh, they wanted to come to the beach with me, but I had to study with you, Kevin. And I was like, it kind of sounds like you're blaming Kevin for it.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I had to study with Kevin. That's why. I thought Kevin was supposed to be a deadbeat boyfriend. But I was like, no, Kevin's actually really good.
Kevin's legit. And you know what? You know, people who are good people find good things. And what Kevin finds is the cosmic key.
Dee-lee-lee.
So Kevin has this cosmic key. He's a musician. And of course, we already said it. When you play it, it's a sick synth sound. And of course, then we cut back to Eternia, where we have Skeletor saying, find them, because they made their portal with the cosmic key. I have another cosmic key. Track the sound waves for it. And the next time they play it, locate them. And then we cut back to Kevin, who's like, I'm going to play it. We're like, Kevin, no.
No, Kevin. And Gwildor did, in a very expository way, said that
If we use it, they could track us.
So
Yeah.
we're like, oh, okay, that's a thing to look after now.
And Kevin can't stop playing it because, in Kevin's defense, it does synth pretty hard. Dildor made this thing fucking sick. All right.
Kevin's ripping out on it, and it's creating this beacon. So now Skeletor knows where they're at, and he's going to send in this elite team of warriors. We have Blade, we have Saurod, we have the Beast Man, and we have Karg. And Nick, we got some friends of the show here, but I got to just fucking get on my soapbox about Karg. Karg is also an ugly ass motherfucker. Big ass, wig looking ass hair.
Gross.
Dude, I would fuck up Karg. He's a bitch. Like, he doesn't look like he could fight for shit, dude. Like he looks like a
big rubbery ass head with the overgrown
he
hair.
looks like a reject from the musical for Cats. I'm like, this bitch ass. You know, like there's that meme of Marcus the Worm where he's just like shit talking people. He just looks at people. He just doesn't like them based on the way they look.
Stupid fuck, bald bitch ass, Robert.
That's how I feel about stupid Karg.
I'd beat his ass.
Bro's a bitch ass.
If he showed up on Earth and looked at me and was like, I'm here to kill you, I'd whoop his ass.
I can't stress enough how much I would wipe the floor with Karg. I would fucking dog walk that bitch. All right? Don't fucking come at me with your 5'3" ass. Be lights out.
I would shit on the floor and then rub his face in it. That piece of shit, dude. I would disrespect him and his whole lineage. I do not like Karg.
He is lucky that Dildor's in this movie. Otherwise, I'd be going after Karg's head.
I'd be going after Martin. Well, James, like you said, 2 out of our 4 mercenaries here are friends of the show. So I'm going to call out one of them, James.
Good.
I'm going to call it Blade because I really liked this backstory. So Blade is played by Anthony DeLongis. He has a long list of acting credits, a lot of TV credits, but he also has a lot of stuntman credits. So he is a very practical man as well. He was actually Langella's stunt double as Skeletor. So he was out here acting. He was out here playing stunt double on the set. And what makes him a friend of the show is he was a whip trainer on Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Yeah.
And as I look through his IMDb, he is the whip trainer on a lot of movies. This guy knows his way around a whip. He is pretty legit with a whip. He's too la-whip to quit.
He's whipping.
Yeah, he's just he's just a man of action who just happens to be able to act as well.
And we have this Saurod character who is this giant lizard man. This is played by Pons Mar, who is a friend of the show because he is the lead wheeler and no messenger in Return to Oz.
Come here, chicken!
He apparently was doing all of his fight choreography blind because those contact lenses really put a damper on his vision. So he's just daredeviling these scenes. And I'm pretty sure, spoilers, he gets eliminated later. I think that's why he had to go. He probably was too expensive he's probably had the most expensive special effects makeup. And he's probably just like, I don't want to fight blind anymore. Just kill my character.
Just stop this. Please put me out of my misery. So yeah, those were 2 very fun friends of the show there. I love when we find guys like that who've just been around Hollywood.
The working guys.
They end up in movies we love.
So apparently these guys are the elite warriors. Blade, Saurod, Beastman. Beastman, I believe, is from the actual toy line and cartoons. Everyone else is new to this movie. And of course, our bitch-ass Karg, who gets exposed later. He gets absolutely exposed
Evil-Lyn
by Evil-Lyn.
Absolutely calls him a bitch in front of everyone. But our 4 mercenaries, they're going to arrive. They're looking for the key. Where's the key? Well, Kevin left Julie alone in the gym before prom night, and she has the key. Or no, she doesn't have the key. Kevin took the key because he's taking it to his friend at the music shop.
Point they used it. So they're honing in on the gym.
And James, I'm telling you what, if these guys are supposed to go hunt down He-Man, Skeletor's fucked because these henchmen are buffoons.
Awful.
They cannot catch Julie. They're getting absolutely clowned. It's all a joke. It's literally like a Benny Hill. Like I want the background music like
all they do is set the gym on fire and it's arson.
The cops show up later. They're like, we have terrible arson and property damage going on here.
So that's happening. And then finally, He-Man is back after 13 minutes on screen. I thought, what the hell? It seems like I haven't seen He-Man in forever. And this was the start of my feelings towards what is negative about this movie. So whereas Skeletor is awesome and very prominent, it seemed like He-Man was just a mascot in his own movie. It didn't seem like he was our protagonist at all. He's just there. We seem way more invested in pretty much everyone else. Skeletor, Julie, Kevin, Evil-Lyn, hell, even Karg.
Stupid fuck.
But even Gwildor seems like a more prominent character than He-Man. He-Man just seems like he's just there, and Dolph Lundgren had to advocate for himself to Gary Goddard and say, hey, like, can you give me more fight scenes? Can you give me more of this? But like you were saying, Nick, a lot of his lines had to be 80 yard in, and they were almost considering having a brand new actor just redub all the voice lines because he just wasn't quite there with his English accent. He had a thick accent, didn't speak English too well, and can't really act really at this point in his career.
Let her go.
There was a lot of times where I thought, is most of this movie 80 yard? Because it looked like a lot of voice lines just didn't match. Like Teela, Man-at-Arms, Gwildor, Skeletor, He-Man. It seemed obviously He-Man, but it seemed like there was a lot of like re-recordings, and that's where it just seems like there's this weird disconnect with the movie, because it just seems like the actors are there, but they're not at the same time. It's weird.
Nitpicks.
But that was a big problem for me, is that He-Man was just almost a side character, and he's supposed to be the main character.
Yeah, he was just a useful idiot in the storyline. But he does show up, and he does beat up our mercenaries. Another one of my big issues with He-Man, his sword, that's apparently supposed to be like his big thing. It's a very defensive weapon. A good chunk of the movie, he has a sword in one hand and a gun in the other hand.
Yeah.
And the sword is just there to block other shots, and then he kind
of lightsabers with the sword, like deflects laser blasts.
Yeah.
But I think, again, this has to go with that Mattel rule of there can't be any bloodshed. He can't kill living things. He has to be a little bit squeaky clean. So then Gary Goddard is like, well, what the fuck? Like, what am I supposed to do with this? How am I supposed to make a combat movie?
It's 1987, man.
Restrictions, dude.
My action hero has to do some murdering at a certain point.
Yeah. And I think over the course of the movie, I think they told Gary Goddard, like, look, we're really like running out of money. We're running low on business. Just do whatever you want. Like kill whoever you want. I think it's too late. I think they already just kind of set the parameters for the character that far into shooting.
Yeah. Well, He-Man comes, like I said, he beats up the mercenaries, and then he has some insane riz on Julie. He's just like carrying her away. She's like, oh,
so that's what killed me.
So weird.
Like she's like, I've been chased by these monsters, and he's like, I'll handle it. And then he picks her up like a baby, like cradles her. She's like, she can walk. It's not like she's injured. He's like, he just swoops her up and then walks off screen with her. I was like, she's not a child.
It's so weird.
So after she gets swooped away, there's like this little fight in this like box area. There's like a lot of like cover, like as a video game. So Julie gets handed a gun, and first shot with the space gun, she hits Saurod. So Julie can hit a shot, and meanwhile, this elite team can't hit shit.
Buffoons, James. We got the
Skeletor
very classic buffoon henchman.
And then later at this location, this is when Gwildor stole a vehicle from someone and picks up the crew and says, I found a native land boat.
He's like, I replaced their fuel with neutrinos, and now it goes, and they just like rip off down the street. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, Dildor. Get the fuck out of here.
Seems illegal as shit.
Yeah, but we got to find Kevin. We got to find the key. That's the key is the key to the movie. And he dropped the key off at a music shop. And when Kevin gets back to the school,
it's all burned
he's like,
down.
Where's Julie? Oh my gosh, like you found her purse, whatever. And we're introduced to our sheriff or our police officer, our main police officer, Lubic. And Lubic is a problem, but James, Lubic is a big time friend of the show.
Yeah, Principal Strickland from Back to the Future. I don't think we've technically shouted this out before, but he was in War Games. Unfortunately, he did pass away this past March. But yeah, James Tolkien is out here as Lubic. And again, this is where I was confused about where are we? Because we rifted into Robbie's Ribs and then we go to the town. And it's like, oh, this is Southern California. This looks like the valley. But then Lubic is like straight New Yorkin over here. He's like,
he is like,
hey,
I thought
Lubic's
Boston
in town, baby.
Like he was, yeah,
boss. Yeah, some sort of like northeastern state.
We're psychos, Karg, and we stumbled out of some kind of loony fringe group here, some kind of cult. Look at this place. Look at those guys. What are you looking at, shorty?
Or New Jersey. Like, hey, Julie, you want New Jersey? I got New Jersey for you. He's a no-nonsense son of a bitch, too.
I have a conspiracy theory that he's not actually a detective, and he's like an insane person who just runs around with a gun. Because there's like no one out in the streets, like when any of this is happening.
No.
One of my nitpicks.
Nitpicks.
When the Goon Squad shows up, so this is like the elite team, and then this is when they rift in like all the robot knights, and then Skeletor's out here. I'm like, these guys are just out here gooning in the streets, and no one is here to witness or be like, what the hell's that?
I would love to see a movie like this where Skeletor shows up with his whole crew and everyone, and then the entire weight of like the American defense industrial complex rains terror down on him, and to say, hey, is your other dimension really that good? And could you survive like Tomahawk missiles? Because I'd love to know. Like if the weight of the American military bared down on Skeletor, would he be like, oh, I have the moon is at its zenith. It's like you're not in your place anymore, man. You're on Earth, and that's a fucking F-18 up there. Like you're dead. I would have loved to see that.
I always ask this question. I would always
love to see that shit.
That's what the Cinedome is all about at the end of the year.
I can't wait to get
when
to
we
the
pin our
Cinedome.
best fighters and best weapons against each other across all movies.
Well, Lubic's gonna mess with Kevin. He's like, "Oh yeah, what do you know? What do you know about Julie? Like, what are you doing here? Is this you?
Get in my car. We're going to Julie's house."
Yeah. Well, they're gonna show up to Julie's house. Lubic's gonna kind of leave him there. Kevin's in there, and Kevin's gonna get got by Evil-Lyn. Shows up with some of her mercenaries. They went back to get reinforcements.
So they go back to Eternia. They come back empty-handed, and then this is when Skeletor vaporizes Saurod.
Oh, just absolutely.
They're like,
just ends them.
And then Karg and Beastman and Blade are like, oh god. Again, this is where I think they probably got rid of him because he was the most expensive character to run because he had like that breathing reptile neck for the special effects. And then when they return to Earth, this is where Karg gets absolutely exposed by Evil-Lyn because she has this device. It's like a instant replay device. Like you can scan the area and see what had transpired however long ago as you please.
The weapons and technology they have seems so OP, and then their actual battle tactics are just so ass backwards. It makes no sense to me.
Way too much convenience in this movie, as from the devices to what's happening. But she scans the area because Karg was like, "Oh, we were overwhelmed." But I forgot how he talks. We were overwhelmed by their forces. And then she's like, yeah, He-Man and Julie with a gun that she's never shot before. Okay, Karg.
Outnumbered. Outclassed is more like it.
Bitch ass.
Then they go to I guess it's Julie's place.
It's Julie's place because they find her dead parents' pictures there. Dude.
Yes. So it's Julie's place, and like this is what I call the FBI open up moment because it's Evil-Lyn and the boys fucking bust down that door. FBI open up! And then Kevin, like a victim, 4 times, he says, "Get out of here! Get out of here! Get out of here!
Get out of here! Get out of here! Get out of here!
Help me! Help me! Help! He's like a victim in the street trying to cause attention to himself. Like, somebody better call the cops.
He's fucking panicking. He's panicking, dude.
He's like, don't touch me. No touchy. No touchy. No touch. And dude, Beastman starts fucking up Kevin.
Watch out! Watch out!
Punching this dude's head.
He's about to rip his head off.
He throws him across the apartment. He lands through a table. Nick, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention before we had that FBI open up moment. Kevin puts some product placement Burger King along with 2 oranges in his super tiny sink so that he can dry wipe the kitchen counter.
I forgot about the Burger King bag.
What was that?
Because I wrote it down too. I'm like, what are we doing?
And then 2 unpeeled oranges. He like puts them in the sink like they're dirty dishes. What are you doing, Kevin?
The state of Florida is just lobbying Hollywood.
And then, yeah, they put this truth collar on him. And I was like, oh, that's wildly convenient. The truth collar.
Like, have you seen an instrument, a portal device? He's like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. And they throw the collar on him. They show him like they show him a hologram of it like this. They're like, he's like, oh, that? Like, I didn't know it was a portal device, so I couldn't answer your question properly, dickheads. And he's like, yeah, I dropped it off at this music shop. And they're like, thanks. They leave. They leave the truth collar on him. That had to cost some kind of money. I don't know what money is used by Skeletor's army, but it's like you're just leaving technology lying around.
It can't be disposable.
No. And apparently it can be ripped off because the Man-at-Arms ends up ripping it off of him when Julie finds him. They go, oh, I told him where it was at. It's at the music shop. And now we all have to go to the music shop because we're all going to have to fight for this cosmic key.
The cosmic key.
And I'll tell you what, I'm going to let you get into it a bit, but this music shop all-out fight scene brawl felt like one of those sort of films where we got one take. Like, we got one take at this. Like, we're going to destroy these instruments. You're going to get thrown through them. Shit's catching on fire. Shit's blowing up. We have one shot at all of these shots. So we're just using it, and you need to give it your all. And I'm going to throw this out there. I'm going to give this fight for effort 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10 on the effort scale, because these guys were flying through instruments, flying into walls, like the practical explosives and sparks. And this was sick. I loved this. I got to be honest. I was so into this part of the movie.
Shout out to the stunt coordinator. We're just causing a fucking ruckus. I don't know what time it is because I thought prom was tonight. I mean, it's obviously super canceled, but is this 2 a.m. because there's no one
burned down?
It is canceled. No, Nick, I think you've said it all about this fight in the music shop. I was just going to make a comment about the music. I mean, there's only 3 songs I recognize in this movie. There was Jimi Hendrix, Purple Haze. Yep. There was Dear Mr. Fantasy by Traffic. And when we first meet Kevin, he's listening to Living in a Box by the band Living in a Box. It's only 3 songs, but it could be up there for soundtrack of the year for me. I was like, this is some fire tracks here.
It's pretty good. And then everything else is synth. And you know how we feel about some 80s synth. So yeah, we have this huge fight breaking out in the music store. And then we're in the back. We had Teela take all the humans to the back. We have Man-at-Arms and He-Man fighting off the crew. And we're telling Gwildor, hey, you need to open up a portal. And he's, doing his meow, 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 meow thing on the key.
Gwildor, how much longer?
I don't know.
Lubic kind of guilt trips Teela. He's like, hey, ain't that your men dying out there? Aren't you going to go help them? And then Teela looks at him because she took the firearm away from Lubic because he can't be trusted. So he's like, he's a loose cannon. So then she gives it to Kevin. She's like, here, Kevin. Kevin's like, oh, okay. And then Lubic is like freaking out.
We're killing each other out there. Give me the gun, kid. Give me. Come on, give me the gun.
And then Julie is going to look out the back window and she's going to see her mom is out there. She's like, what? I'm assuming because you mentioned that they saw a picture of the parents.
Evil-Lyn looks at it and says,
this may prove useful.
So when Julie's mom shows up, I'm assuming she's wearing the same clothes from that picture because that's the only thing that Evil-Lyn has to go off of. But Julie is about to get mystiqued. And this was hilarious because she sneaks out of that back room into the back alley as her boyfriend is wrestling with an insane detective over a gun.
Give me that thing.
Kevin, stop it! Watch that gun! Come on, you're gonna get hurt!
Like they're wrestling, they're grappling, they're like, give me the gun, and Julie's like,
there's a part where they're like fighting and the gun flies on the floor and Gwildor looks at it and I'm like, grab the fucking gun, Gwildor. Dude,
Gwildor fires off a round.
Moron kid.
Gwildor fires off a round indoors to break it up.
Yeah,
don't give that guy a gun.
The last person who should have a gun.
But Julie is going to get mystiqued by Evil-Lyn. She's going to be like,
your new friends are all tied up with the work we're doing, and they have something we want.
That silver thing that makes the noise, it's involved in the secret work we're doing. Can you go get it? And then so she walks back into the back room. Everyone's like, oh, hey, Julie.
What is the matter with you? Where were you?
And then she's just like, looks around and grabs the key and like runs out. We're like, oh, what the fuck is she doing? Gives it to Evil-Lyn. Evil-Lyn morphs back into Evil-Lyn. It's like, haha. And then Julie does this multiple times. She like grabs her hair like with both hands and she's like, no! Don't be so hysterical.
Laziest shit I've ever seen. Laziest shit I've ever seen. Like, this is how Evil-Lyn does it. Oh, hey, Julie, I'm your mom.
Don't question anything.
You know the thing that everybody's literally killing themselves over? The thing we chased you through the school gym asking about and beat up your boyfriend and put a truth collar on him to try and find. And Now we're absolutely destroying the shop. Well, your dad and I need it, and I'm alive. Would you go get that for me? And she's like, yeah, Ma. She runs back in the room. She's like, okay, got it, Ma.
What do you think's happening?
I thought it was such a lazy, just like, after all the strength and muscles of He-Man, like beaten by emotion. I'm like, this is fucking, that pissed me off. I'm so happy what happens to Julie in about 20 minutes down the line. So happy because she deserves it all. But after they get the cosmic key, Evil-Lyn tells everyone to retreat. So they all run out of the store. Everyone regroups. Except Lubic, who goes like, wait, no, like they're running. We got to go kill them. Looks at the store owner like, you got a gun for when people break in? And the guy's like, fucking of course I do. What are you talking about? He has
got a pump shotgun, dude.
got a pump action shot. He hands it to him. So Lubic walks out after seeing all of this destruction and absolutely insane. It's not like he can. It's not like
he has no fear response.
It's not like he didn't just like, watch it
head first.
Not like he doesn't know Gwildor doesn't exist. Like things aren't right in your world, dude. And he runs outside. And
Police! Nobody move!
They turn around and then he ducks behind a car. They all fire at the car. The car blows up. I was like, Lubic's fucking dead, dude. And he's just like, they just put some like black makeup as like ash on his face.
And he's like, shit, I think I'm going to need some backup.
I think I'm going to need some backup.
We're like, oh, Lubic.
Now, James, I don't understand this next part at all because a huge portal opens up. Some knockoff Silver Surfers emerge out of it in what is my favorite CGI in the movie, these air centurions. And Skeletor comes to Earth. And I thought to myself, why? Why aren't you back in Castle Grayskull? Why don't you have Evil-Lyn bring you back in fact, why don't you just open the portal and destroy the other prototype? Like there's so many ways you could play this, dude. There's so many ways you could play this where you win. And he decides to do a full-on like Xerxes march. If you've seen the movie 300, like, he's on the big like Jabba the Hutt, like.
But he's on like a floating ship chair or whatever.
And he enters Earth. I know the answer. The answer is because the budget's not very great on this movie. But I'm like, what is your motivation for coming to Earth? The Air Centurions come in. They attack He-Man. He-Man gets his hands on a surfmobile.
He's hoverboarding.
And then he's surfing. And he's hoverboarding. He's attacking people. And the same grapple that grabbed the meat bucket, he grabs the key. And Evil-Lyn is just holding it indiscriminately, like up here, like, no. Like
she's holding it like a baby and then just like lets go when it grapples. She's like, no!
But I've been thwarted again by He-Man. He just grapples it on his way over. But all of it is for naught because Skeletor is going to capture our crew, get He-Man. He-Man flies his little surf thing onto a rooftop and just going to be like, it's a trap, He-Man. Everyone jumps on He-Man. He-Man goes ape on the army. No one kills He-Man. He-Man's not getting shot because I'm going to take him prisoner. Like, I don't want him to be a martyr. I'm going to break him. Even though later on he's going to turn him into a martyr and kill him in the great... I don't know. Skeletor's all over the place with his motivations at this point.
Julie's gonna get zapped by Skeletor too.
Dude, that leg is messed up.
Disgusting.
I don't know what kind of poison. Her leg's like bubbling and it looks like a staph infection. I thought Kevin was going to throw up.
Throws up on Gwildor.
It's bad.
Gwildor would be like, native sickness. And then Man-at-Arms would be like,
they're like, we got to get back to the sorceress. It's the only way. But we don't have... Gwildor forgot the key. Like, the key is a song, so he doesn't remember the notes to the song.
Forgot the tones. And the sorceress, again, has been this fucking force field this entire movie, and she is looking shriveled.
Real bad.
He-Man's back at Castle Grayskull. He's getting whipped. And Kevin, when we're talking about Gwildor and the tones...
The tones, Kevin. The tones that were stored in this cosmic key were completely erased.
The tones, you mean the melody the key played every time we pressed the red button?
And he could just like recite notes from memory, which honestly is not that insane of an ability on the planet Earth. And Gwildor's like, you understand the music? It's like, oh my God, dude. Kevin's the key. Kevin's the key to interdimensional travel. Great job, Gwildor, whatever.
But these musical tones are going to help us get to the sorceress, who is the only person who can save Julie's fucked up leg because she's in rough shape. So meanwhile, at Castle Grayskull, He-Man is getting abused by Skeletor. Skeletor is going to get zapped by the power of the universe. And at 1 hour and 28 minutes, Skeletor does say the thing. He says the title. He says, "Now I, Skeletor, am master of the universe." And he kind of transforms into this God Emperor Doom look. It kind of looks like if Galactus met Montezuma. Like he's got the big antlered helmet, very gold. He has a lot of mythical powers now. He's zapping He-Man. It doesn't really put a scratch on He-Man with his zaps because he's yelling at He-Man. He's like, "Kneel, zap." And then it just bounces off He-Man's oily pecs like it's nothing. And then, Nick, this was the funniest cut to me in the entire movie. We've had so much building up to this moment. So Skeletor finally is big bad villain with big powers and sick glowing eyeballs. Frank Langella is going crazy acting. You know, he's going, "Kneel, kneel." It's like very dramatic. Then we cut to crickets. We're looking at Lubic. He's been doing this like cokehead, like mouth tongue licking. Like he's pulling up on these two teenagers. One's passed out from a fucked up infection. A couple space people and this goddamn Gwildor the leprechaun. So we just went from this intense scene of like, "Kneel," and then the next thing you hear is fucking Dildor's voice, and he says, "Are you ready, Kevin?" It's just like this like fucking like group of nerds.
So bad.
You just "Are you ready, Kevin?"
Are you ready, Kevin?
And Kevin's like not a cool name. It's not a heroic name.
Yeah.
It's just Kevin.
Now, let me just give a quick shout out that Skeletor does have this monologue. Langella kills it here on this whole, you know, "I'm Skeletor, I've got this power." Like, this is where the acting of Langella is like, okay, like, you're taking this super seriously. Skeletor is the best character in this movie, bar none. He does a great job. We are going to go ahead and create this portal, and the portal is going to create this maybe like 8-foot radius sphere.
It's like a 15-foot radius. It like takes the entire scenery from that California town, takes like half the car that Gwildor stole,
half the wall,
like the wall, the payphones there, and then it riffs in everybody: Man-at-Arms, Teela, Dildor, Kevin, passed out Julie, and Lubic. It's about to get real in our final showdown.
It's about to get real because we're about to have a full all-out brawl. Lubic, I wrote down he's making a late case for the best fighter because he still has this shotgun in hand from the store owner, and he just starts ripping through Skeletor's henchmen.
He gets all offended because the henchmen are shooting at him, and he says, and he speaks in the third person. He's like, "Nobody takes pot shots at Lubic."
Nobody takes pot shots at Lubic.
Lubic's like walking him down. He's walking down Lubic. Like these robots are dropping at the hands of Lubic and this pump shotty.
Now, all of a sudden, we power scale down. All of a sudden, Skeletor gets nerfed from his godlike abilities, and he tries to zap He-Man. He-Man puts up his chains in front of him, and it breaks his chains free. And Skeletor is now like scared because he's going to get got by He-Man, even though he has the whole power of Grayskull. So what's the point of the power of Grayskull if you can't just put down He-Man? I don't know, but He-Man and him are going to fight. He gets his sword back, and He-Man had his sword before, but now when he pulls his sword back, now it's this whole glowing blue light.
I think Skeletor was zapping him and he was holding the sword. So then the sword, it looked like it maybe became empowered. It's like a yellow glow. And then he pulls it out and then he says his catchphrase. And then now we're about to hit our final fight with Skeletor and He-Man. And Nick, this is just around the time when the studio is thinking, we're going to shut it down.
We don't have the budget for this.
Shut it down!
They filmed up to that point of them clashing the sword and the staff, and then it kind of has that big light explosion. So they filmed that, and then everything after had to be lobbied for or shot one random day later. So the movie got shut down right before they filmed that final fight between Skeletor and He-Man. And Goddard consents that they might have been on the horizon of a shutdown because there would be paydays where payment didn't show up for the crew on time.
Ooh.
And the crew was ready to walk away. And Goddard would have to reassure the crew that one of the producers would go get their money from Canon Films by the end of the day. And he had to persuade them to stay to complete the day's work. So they did shut it down, and they had not filmed that final fight. He claimed that he had a backup plan of this potential shutdown if it were to happen, because like I said, they filmed that clash scene and he had something in mind. He's like, okay, if I get shut down, here's how I'm going to choreograph and do the final fight scene. It's going to kind of be in this dark void because we're not going to have any crew to light the set. We're not going to have really choreographers to be there.
Makes so much sense.
Yeah. So that's why the final fight scene looks how it does and looks all cheap and clunky. He said, my idea is that when they clash, they suck all the power out of the universe and it's just them in this dark room. Although you can clearly see that they're still in the setting of the castle. It's just all dark and it's all backlit.
It flashes from like red to green to blue. It feels like one of those spinning disco balls you had when you were 13 years old in your bedroom. And there's just a bunch of fog machines, and it feels so cheap. And the movements are really slow as they're like clashing, and very clunky cling, clang sounds.
He lobbied to Canon Films to say, please let me just continue rolling for the rest of the day. I just want to get a couple more shots. And so he was allowed to stay later with the Skeletor stunt person, Anthony DeLongis, Dolph Lundgren, and the DP. And then so they were allowed to get a couple last, just very loose, unchoreographed fight scenes. And then 3 to 4 months later, Goddard said they had 1 day to finish the movie. So that's when they shot the sword getting knocked out of He-Man's hands, and he dives down and grabs it from the pit of death. And then he has that final blow to Skeletor, and then he falls down this big ass fucking descent that's in the castle. So anticlimactic because the sword is about to fall down this abyss pit, and then He-Man dives on the ground, grabs it, and then deflects a blow from Skeletor. And Skeletor allows He-Man to not only stand up, but then also just give him one more hit. And it's really just like a little chip shot.
That's what I'm saying. It felt defensive, just
kind of bumps Skeletor off the ledge, and Skeletor, again, 1994 Fantastic Four, like Dr. Doom, falls down.
The shaft was very Phantom Menace-y, where I thought to myself, why is this big metal shaft in the middle of Castle Grayskull?
Convenience.
Why is this large, apparently 300-foot, 500-foot shaft just existing in the middle of this?
No one saw that.
Felt very weird. And there's really no climax from that. We just sort of fast forward. We fade cut forward to everything being fine. Julie's fine. The sorceress is all good. Lubic has like royal garb on. He's partly in charge of Castle Grayskull.
Yeah, Lubic made himself real comfortable here.
And they ask him, are you coming? And he's like, what do you mean? This is retirement. I got a hot chick here.
You're really going to stay here, huh?
What, are you kidding? What am I going to go back there for? And look what I got here. I got a castle. I got a view. I got clean air. I got a beautiful woman. Huh? Some kind of retirement, huh?
It's so dumb.
This is the Canon Productions part coming out. It's just this chick leaning over Lubic, like, yeah, hey, what's going on?
Like, who is this lady? Like, hasn't it been like, well, I guess we don't know how much time has passed, but it feels like no time has passed. And Lubic's like, hey, not a bad retirement spot. And then it's like doing that like tongue thing. I'm like, fuck is Lubic's deal?
So he's sort of in charge of Castle Grayskull-ish.
Honestly, I would put him on the elite team right up next to Man at Arms and Teela. He was fucking walking them down.
Yeah, I mean, it's a better mercenary crew than Blade.
Fucking Karg.
I would send Lubic out to get a guy. Absolutely.
Oh, Lubic
Lubic
would murder that team.
Okay, now I have a question for you, because Gwildor opens a portal to send Julie and Kevin back to Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And then Julie walks into the portal and says, wait, Gwildor, send me to... And then it stops. And then Julie is sent back in the past before her parents died. She stops them from getting on the plane, like steals their shit, runs out in the street. Kevin runs out and says, don't send your parents. She's like, I already told them, we're fine. But what was she saying to Gwildor before she got in the portal? Like, wait, Gwildor, don't! And then she got put in the portal. Did you see that as well? Am I the only person?
No, I did. I thought it was funny because it was just like a a very non-graceful goodbye, because he could have been like, all right, because they already did the good journey thing, and like, good journey, peace be with you, and also with you, let us pray. And then you could have just like walked towards the portal, looked back, gave him one cool guy nod, then walked back in. But it is kind of funny because she's like, wait, Chloe, and then she just like disappears. But Nick, I'm very sure that she was requesting if she can go back in time, because they said, oh, they can send you at any time and place. So I think she was like,
what a weird way to put that,
before my parents got on that plane. So I think that's what she was requesting.
Well, she just got sent back in a panic.
It was just awkward. She was just like, wait,
so weird.
It's like, and then everyone's like, oh God, is she all right? Who cares? Yeah, Gwildor is just fucking with the space-time continuum. What does this do for the timeline? Are there 2 Julies and Kevins now?
I don't know, because does Julie then end up with the cosmic key?
Well, what do you mean end up with the cosmic key?
Well, because like everything in Eternia would still go the same way, with the cosmic key ending up on Earth. So would her and Kevin still end up with it? And then
they would run into that problem again, because then He-Man and Teela,
we just time loop
Gwildor,
with infinite.
Yeah, Gwildor, this fucking guy, just imprisoned these guys in a time loop.
Fucking Dildor, dude.
Fucking villain he is.
Son of a bitch.
So Dildor sends them back. I feel like they ripped this off from Back to the Future. I think they were like, people love a Back to the Future ending where everything's all good. And then they're like, was it all real? And then Kevin's like, yeah, we were there. Then we zoom in on that blue ball. And then we get He-Man superimposed with his sword. He does the stance.
He says, I have the power.
And then, Nick, we hit credits. I do want to shout out an uncredited name that we have. G. Wayne Hill, who credited himself on IMDb as one of Skeletor's troops. He was also an uncredited airport traveler in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Hell yeah.
Friend of the show. We have another friend of the show. I don't know if you caught this one. Mr. Winston, who plays Julie's dad. First time we really see him, not in a picture, but actually talking, because he's alive and not super dead. So Mr. Winston is played by Walter Scott. He was the stunt coordinator for the movie Back to the Future Part 2, and Back to the Future Part 3.
Dude, I'm so mad at myself because I stopped looking.
Well, you stop looking right now and listen. You listen. Then I'll hear your sob story. He's a stunt coordinator for the Back to the Future franchise. He was the stunt coordinator for Thief, which is a movie we watched this year. And lastly, he was the stunt coordinator for, you guessed it, Horse Sense.
No.
Yes.
Shut the fuck up.
He was also on camera as the Jeep driver in Back to the Future, and he played someone named D. Simpson in Thief. Now tell me why you're so mad at yourself, because you didn't catch this and I did.
Because I went down the casting list and I stopped at Gwen Wilford, who played Mrs. Winston, who played Julie's mom, and I thought, this is it. This is as far as I'm going down. There's no more friends of the show. And Walter Scott was the next. Walter Scott was the next name on the list, and I decided to myself, I'm done here.
Why would you call it quits there?
And I'm mad at myself.
I went all the way to the uncredited guys. Mike Carlucci, Nicholas Grabowski, and G. Wayne Hill, which is our uncredited Skeletor's troops. You gotta go all the way.
I'm mad at who I am as a person. Okay.
You didn't look up Richard Sponsor, Pig Boy, who apparently won a costume contest to be in this movie. And Gary Goddard had to make up a weird ass role for this 13-year-old to hand Skeletor his staff and have no speaking lines. You didn't look up Pig Boy?
I didn't look up Pig Boy, James, but I will say, after you watch the credits, did anything else stick out to you?
Well, there is something that sticks out to me, but before we get there, I need to name the funniest names in the credits and then any post-credits activities we can address later. Nick, the funniest names in the credits were Billy Barty, who played Dildor, and Christina Pickles, who played the Sorceress.
I was really hoping she would be a friend of the show. I was like, Christina Pickles, that has to be. Like, come on, Pickles.
I feel like I would remember that name. I thought Billy Barty was going to be, especially with all the work he's been in. I thought
so too. He's done so much voice acting. Like video games I've played, he's voice acted in.
But Nick, after the credits, we do get a post-credit scene where Skeletor pops up out of the water that I guess was at the bottom of that abyss pit and basically says, I'll be back.
Looks right at the camera.
And we end on this cheesy ass freeze frame.
Yep. Now, James, as you know, I ended the movie on this freeze frame, closed my laptop, and I was done with the movie. The following morning, I opened up my laptop at work, and I opened it up, and the first thing that pops up at me is Skeletor popping up from the water. I sent you a picture and said, holy shit.
That was funny.
It freaked me out. I opened it up at 8 a.m. and went, oh, my God. It's fucking Skeletor's on my laptop.
And that's how the bones crumble. And that, Nick, is Masters of the Universe. We have one more thing to do before we hit the final review. We got to go through our mini pops. This is our awards section. This is where we go over the best, we go over the worst. As a reminder, our categories are best weapon, best fighter, most valuable character in the movie, the biggest piece of shit character-wise from the movie. If it applies, the best death and the best yeet. Nick, you are reviewing this movie first, so I'm going to reveal my mini pops to you first. Why don't you go ahead and read them aloud to the crowd?
James, your best weapon is the sword from He-Man, not the sword of Damocles, but the sword of He-Man. Your best fighter is He-Man, with an honorable mention for Skeletor. Your MVC is Skeletor. Your biggest piece of shit is Gwildor. Your best death is Saurod getting zapped by Skeletor. And your best yeet is Carl.
Yes, that's right. And Nick,
wait. Was it Carl or Karg? Sorry, I read that. Was that an L or a G?
No, it was Carl.
It was Carl. Okay. That's what I thought. And I was like, wait, did I read Karg or Carl?
You remember Carl?
I remember Carl. Yeah, Carl. Was it the janitor there?
Carl the janitor, yeah.
Yeah. I remember Carl.
We'll discuss it. But Nick, let me see your mini pop nominees. Hit us. All right, Nick. For Masters of the Universe, best weapon, you said shotgun. Best fighter, you put Skeletor. MVC, you put Skeletor. Biggest piece of shit. You also went with Gwildor. Best death, you said doesn't apply. Fuck Mattel. And best eat, you said I don't know.
That's right. Let's discuss.
Biggest piece of shit. Gwildor is a lock.
That's been locked. That was locked the second he came on to the screen.
I threw in He-Man for my best fighter because he did ultimately defeat Skeletor, but I thought Skeletor was way too sick that he couldn't miss the fighters tournament at the end.
We gotta have Skeletor in there. So yeah, we're definitely putting both of them in there.
Yeah, I think we'll crown He-Man just because he technically toppled Skeletor. We'll have Skeletor be our wild card. The weapon, I went with the empowered sword because I know it did a lot of blocking, but it is, I think, the most important weapon. It does take down the most powerful being. The shotgun was doing work.
It is clearly the best weapon to have into the best fighters, the Cinedome at the end of the year. No doubt about it. I just wanted to call out Lubic and him bringing a real world Earth weapon into the mystical world and doing work. Mm-hmm. And I thought, I just want to call that out. Does it have a name? Is it just He-Man's sword?
He-Man's sword is called the Power Sword, often referred to as the Sword of Power or the Sword of Grayskull. This magical weapon is used by Prince Adam to transform into He-Man by declaring, by the power of Grayskull, I have the power! It is the key to Castle Grayskull and grants him immense strength.
That's getting into the Cinedome. I just wanted to call out, hey, here's what I'm going to say.
Lubic was making a hell of a run. He was making a hell of a run.
I'm just going to say this out loud. Sometimes I'm sick of movies that's like, there's this fantastical world, and then there's Earth humans, and they're so underpowered. One time I would like humans to come to Earth, and everybody go, oh, fuck, these guys have been building weapons. Like, these guys are just absolutely wrecking us. And so, like, I like seeing a shotgun in this fantasy world, and fuck you.
And Nick, you said he didn't have a best death, but Saurod did get zapped by Skeletor, and I'm pretty sure he died.
Works for me.
And then lastly, Nick, my best eat that I nominated was Carl. He was a big casualty in the gymnasium arson fire that the Elite Warriors came in and busted in. Beastman open hand punched him through the double doors of the gymnasium. He got hit so hard that he turned around and, like Rey Mysterio from the top rope, dives through a set of double doors, body completely horizontal to the ground, and he just got fucked up by Beastman.
Works for me. That's a great yeet.
that is our awards. That is all of the nominees that will be featured in the end of the year episode for the Wrap Party. And now we have one last thing to do for Masters of the Universe. We got to get into the final review. We get there via our sarcastic selling points. And Nick, I'm going to hit you first. I said that this might be out of left field, The Fifth Element meets Krull.
I love that. I said this is Krull meets Star Wars.
It's Krull-centric.
Very cruelly.
Final review. Fight.
And now we're going to get into the final review. This is where we talk about what the other guys are saying about Masters of the Universe. Then we'll get into what we think. But first off, we got to start out with the usual suspects of Rotten Tomatoes. The critics, only 21% of the critics actually like this movie.
That's right. And James, 41% of the people like this movie.
And we're going to move over to Metacritic, who are notoriously pretty harsh. They're going to score this with a 35 out of 100, which is a 3.5 on the popcorn scale.
Better than the Rotten Tomatoes people over here at a 4.8 for Metacritic.
Very bad reviews across the board, but let's see if the last one can settle the score. And now for our Cosmic Keyan, Sorceress Freean. You got zapped by Skeletor, now your leg is hella sore. Who's in that bush snacking on meat? It's a disgusting goblin that smells like feet. No thanks to him, we're in this mess. I wish he was dead, unlike the rest. Every joke and line he says is a bore. He's the reason we have no music store. But Kevin is here to settle the score. We can't stress it enough. F*** you, Gwildor. Brought to you by Robbie's Ribs and Chicken from IMDb, a 5.4.
Whoa. Are we masters of the IMDb score?
5.4. Thanks to Gwildor.
Gwildorin.
Okay, Nick, what is the funniest Rotten Tomatoes review you found?
James, this one, I didn't necessarily think it was the funniest, but if it captured my thoughts, it captured my soul. And this was from Unnamed Person from February 24th, 2013. Says, He-Man! I loved this movie. I was also 6 when it came out. So forgive me my tastes. And he gives it a 3 out of 5. And I respect that.
Very honest.
He said, I love this. I was a kid. I played with the toys.
I love it. Well, that is the funniest review. That's what the other guys are saying. But now it's time to get into what we think. Nick, you are going to hit us with your laughable log line, your final popcorn points, and some final thoughts.
James, I would love to. My laughable log line on this one was an overly oiled up man with no lines travels to Earth before taking on a questionably powerful rubber skeleton man. Oh, I'm so torn on this one, James. I'm so torn. It's so bad it might be good. I gave it half of a 6.9. My heart wants to 6.9 it because it's so fucking stupid. But Gwildor's ruining me. And I didn't look at previous scores. I don't remember what I gave Krull. I don't care. I'm going to give it a 5.2. There's no plot to talk about, so I'm not even going to talk about the writing and there's no character development. Who gives a shit? I didn't mind the practicals. I really didn't. I didn't think they took me out of the movie. I kind of knew what I was getting into on it, and so that's nice. If I was a 1987 audience, probably would have pissed me off a little more in the theaters, but I knew it was going to be a little shitty going into it. The Skeletor performance carried so much for me. I'll tell you what, it passed the phone test. I did not look at my phone too much during this movie. It had my attention. It's almost so bad it's good. It cannot hit the 6.9 score that we have given movies such as Buckaroo Banzai, because it's not that good. It isn't, but it is good enough to be better than 50% in my opinion. As far as just, if you haven't seen this, go see this. It's the 80s cheese we dream about, and I loved it in my own stupid way. So that's my score.
I like it. All right, now it's my turn to hit you with my laughable logline and my final popcorn points and some quick final thoughts. My laughable logline is an oiled up hunk, his 2 space friends, and 2 Earth teenagers try to unfuck the problem on Eternia caused by the real villain, Gwildor. And Nick, I pre-popped this at 5.7 because I wanted to put a tick above Krull, but you mentioned it, you didn't look at your scores. You're not trying to go off old scores. So I did definitely think that this was above the 500. I thought this is clearly in the fives. Like, this is not by any means a good movie, but it didn't piss me off that much where I could put it in the fives. I'm going to go 5.4. Right there with the IMDb crowd, actually. Very middle of the road. It's another movie like 1994 Fantastic Four that suffered from the management and the studio and the lack of budgeting, whereas the crew and the actors were trying to bring it. I mean, you got Dolph Lundgren in there. He's not an actor. He just kind of fits the bill. He's out there doing his own stunts, putting himself in danger because there was no stunt people that matched his physique, so he just had to do it. We're doing this low budget. We're reusing assets. I'm pretty sure they reused miniatures from Blade Runner and Ghostbusters to finish off cityscapes. They're borrowing equipment. They're questionably stealing perhaps Star Wars sound effects. We don't know, unconfirmed. The director is a piece of shit, but at the end of the day, I still thought it was very charming and very stupid and very fun. And I agree with you. It was an easy watch, and it kind of just scratched that itch that I'm looking for. I texted you after I watched this and I said, wow, I couldn't think of a better movie for this podcast to watch because it was such good content for us.
It's what we're looking for. I think that was my pre-pops, like what I needed. This is what I needed.
It's what we needed. And that's what you got. And that is Masters of the Universe, thoroughly broken down, reviewed by the Just Play It podcast. We want to thank you guys for listening and watching. Don't forget to follow us. We are at Just Play It podcast on Instagram and YouTube. We are at Just Play It pod on X. You're going to want to join us next time because you're probably thinking, hey, where's our Star Wars episode? You guys always do a Star Wars episode every year. Well, guess what? We couldn't do it on May the 4th because we're going to the theaters to solve that problem.
I don't know what kind of hints to give. There's a Star Wars movie in theaters here, so figure it out.
And if you can't get it, you might be as dumb as Gwildor.
Whoa.
That's it for us. We are heading gone, and remember, good journey.
Good journey, James.
Are you ready, Kevin?
Gwildor made this thing fucking sick. All right.
I'm going to steal a bucket of ribs at the establishment known as Robbie's Ribs and Chicken. To add to my crimes in Whittier, California, I will fight the evil forces of Eternia. Jimbo James would wipe the floor with Karg, and the corndog himself would shit on the floor and rub his face in it. Robert